I think right now the biggest thing that a lot of fans, including myself, am looking forward to has a lot to do with D23. This is going to be a very big event for not just Disney and Lucasfilm, but also for Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni to announce the full slate of Star Wars TV shows and movies that will be on the horizon, as well as the entire roadmap showcasing which movies and shows are going to be releasing before or after each other, and to really give fans a concrete idea of exactly what the overall timeline of Star Wars is going to look like. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. And without further ado, let's get right into the subject. Now, we know that Rey as a character is a very controversial character over the years, especially with the final film of Episode 9, the way things ended that they did. And with the recent announcement that we got at Celebration, with Rey being centered in the 2025 Star Wars movie, there's been a lot of fans that have not really been approving of that and declining that overall approach by Steven Knight, who, by the way, is the writer of the 2025 Star Wars film. A lot of people like to call it the Rey movie. But what's even all the more interesting is exactly what Jon Favreau specifically had to talk about when it comes to the Rey bloodline, and how a lot of things to do with Rey Palpatine are going to be essentially reversed. Now, there's a lot of things going on at Lucasfilm right now, a lot of retcons and resets happening, and we know that there's a post-Episode 9 series in the works, a New Jedi Order series to be specific, that's going to take place 25 years after Episode 9, essentially. So with that being all put out there and said, what's interesting is that right now both Jon and Dave are beginning to focus on their new Star Wars stories that will come in the form of both movies and shows. Now, Jon Favreau had something very important to state recently to the entire community, where recently we got the great liberty, he says, to work with different eras of this franchise. One of which we are focused on is the New Jedi Order, which is giving us the freedom to work with Rey as a character, and how we can provide our take on that character. We are very well aware that many fans were criticizing Rey's background being connected to Palpatine's, and we are finding ways to change her lineage and her backstory where we could tell a different backstory for her and where she really comes from. We feel that Rey has the opportunity to grow and could hold a better story to tell than what fans got in the final film. This is going to be a long work in progress, but we are developing it right now on giving her a different background for the community that we feel will respect the character on a greater scale. Now, let me just pause here quick about what Favreau is saying. Now, obviously he is alluding to what we have been talking about for a while, of how the New Jedi Order film, or the series I should say, is going to really reinvent the character of Rey completely. Her backstory, her design, her overall, personality is going to be quite different because it's going to be so very long after the events of Episode 9. So what I like so much about this approach is that this is once again an attempt to cancel out Kathleen Kennedy's overall way of justifying why Rey was so very powerful throughout the sequels. Now, you guys may not recall, but Kathleen Kennedy was caught in the lie, where she stated that Palpatine was always in the cards, and that he was always a plan since 2014. And basically, J.J. Abrams eventually came in and said that no, we actually did that at last minute. This was a last minute resolution because of how Snoke was killed off early on in the trilogy at The Last Jedi, and they needed a new villain. And so J.J. Abrams literally just debunked what Kathleen Kennedy said. That was like way back when they were promoting Episode 9, by the way. So anyways, we know that Jon Favreau really wants to make sure that he is going to be able to give the fans something very fun to look forward to, something very entertaining, and to reinvent the character in ways that we would never imagine. Now, we know that Jon Favreau wants to bring the older concepts of Rey to life in this post-Episode 9 series. They are finding ways to essentially reinvent the character of how she would not be connected to the Palpatine bloodline. And we talked about how Lucasfilm is creating a plan where Palpatine essentially lies and manipulates Rey into thinking that she's the granddaughter of him to provoke herself into fear. Now that's an interesting thing, the fact that they would go that far to do something like that, but moving on. Now, Favreau states further, Daisy is a wonderful person, and even she admitted to us here at Lucasfilm that she felt the character deserved to hold a more in-depth story to be told for the fans. Daisy is in full support of this, of one of our projects that we are working on. Separate from what Favreau stated here, though, this all alludes to how Lucasfilm plans to cancel out the concept of Rey Palpatine in the post-Episode 9 series, to basically turn her into a Kenobi, essentially, to bring out J.J. Abrams and his original vision to life. Rey Palpatine was a last-minute decision to justify her powers by Disney that many came across to disagree with. Their post-Episode 9 show is set to feature Rey 25 years later, where the new Jedi Order has been fully established with new knights. Now here's the deal about this. We're still a very far ways off from the show. The plan was to get this thing out by 2026, right after the new Jedi Order movie, and given that there is a writer's strike still to this day, I'm not really quite sure that we're going to get it on time, to be honest. If you look at the Rey movie, I don't believe you're going to get it in 2025, and even that film is going through a lot of drama right now, a lot of problems and issues, and basically also, we got to be aware that Daisy Ridley is demanding Disney to double her pay, and they are not giving in. They're not caving into that. And that too is creating more problems, because now there's a lot of Disney executives that are making proposals of firing Daisy Ridley, getting her off the cast, and just rewriting the entire film altogether, and having Dave Filoni's movie debut first, before this one, so it gives them enough time to rewrite the whole story. It's unfortunate, but it's a big mess, and it's gonna make Disney look really bad if they cancel yet another Star Wars film that was announced, because it's just giving more uncertainty about everything moving onwards, right? They've announced well over 7 movies that have never fallen through, that have actually never moved past the pre-production phase or even in the in-development phase. And that's a failure, big time, on Kathleen Kennedy's end. It really is a big failure on her end of Lucasfilm, and it's why Disney is so fed up with, the overall structure of what has happened before in the past with these movie announcements, and they would hate for the new Jedi Order film to follow in the same path. So that's why they want to keep the movie alive, but they want to essentially restructure it if they have to come and cross that bridge when they come to it. So anyways, the last thing I do want to point out here is that we know that John and Dave are really keyed in on bringing Legends to life. They want to make sure that Legends is going to get adapted into live action form, and that they're going to make a lot of fans very happy around the globe. That's their overall goal right now. So anyways, guys, I would love to hear what you all have to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.
From night to moon, we hear them moans again.